Welcome to a special edition of the Director's Chair. I have a returning guest with me today. Welcome back, Robbie Fleming. Welcome back, Robbie.
Hello, Cody. Thank you for having me on today. This is one of my favorite films of the year, so I happily volunteered to do this episode with you.
Glad to have you back. So, for people who are actually watching along on the Video Store Rejects page, season one, we're about to wrap up Twin Peaks with the series finale of the original show. But if you remember, in 2022, we covered the films of the Coen brothers. Robbie came on to talk Fargo and Burn After Reading. And since Joel Coen did a movie by himself, Ethan Coen has done a movie as well. Not completely by himself, it is with his spouse, Trisha Cook, but he has directed a film without his brother Joel, and that is Drive Away Dolls, which was finally released back in February after being postponed from a September release in 2023 due to the actors and writers strike. And Robbie's here to discuss the film with us.
Yes, I was very intrigued with this movie when it came out in the UK a couple of months ago,
Hmm.
and I just saw that it was Joel Cohen, and it has three of my favorite actors in this. One of them only appears for the opening scene.
So I don't know about you, but being a fan of the Coen brothers and watching their two solo films, I kind of see whose sensibilities from the films is whose now.
Yes, I imagine that Ethan's the comedy and Joel's the dark drama.
Yeah, it looks like Ethan is the more of the quirky humor that we get in the Coen brothers films, and Joel is all about I guess maybe more of the darker edges of the subject matter and maybe like the repercussions that happen to characters when they make the bad decisions. Which I mean, it's in this movie as well, but it's definitely more of a quirky film than I would say like a dark comedy. But it is a little dark.
Yes, it is quite dark when it needs to be, but it's also quite light when it needs to be as well.
Yes, for sure, for sure. So you said this was released in the UK a few months ago, so was it around the same time in the US release? That would have been around February.
I think it was about March.
Okay, so
Yeah, March
couple of
15th.
so a month to a few weeks after our release.
Yeah.
Um, the reception to this movie, I think, box office wise and audience wise, was kind of tepid, if not lukewarm, and the reviews were mixed. So you're a bigger fan of this film than I am. So what do you think maybe why this movie is getting kind of lukewarm reaction compared to other Coen films?
I feel like we've entered a zone in world where our tour filmmakers, besides Christopher Nolan, don't sell movies they used to. I know Joel and Ethan Coen have mainly been bigger hits with the independent movie scene, and this is kind of one of those more indie hits.
Yeah, so this is something that I thought of when I watched it and then heard about the development of this project. So this was originally written around the late 90s by Ethan and Trisha Cook. And to me, that's how the script feels. Like it was written for a movie to be released like in 1999. And it feels like they didn't really dust this script off and give it another go. It feels like if this was made 25 years ago, I feel like it would have been sharper, edgier, maybe funnier. There's a lot of things that fall flat in this movie for me.
Okay, well, I can see why this film is set in 1999, but the Coen brothers do these things where they set movies like random years in the past, so I just thought this was more of a reason. That was probably the reason why it was set in 1999. Plus, it makes more sense to the story they're trying to tell because I don't think LGBT was as well known as it is now.
I would say it was maybe not well known, but maybe not less acceptance, but less in the mainstream of media. There weren't a lot of queer characters, let alone them being the protagonist of the story.
Yeah,
So, and I think in that instance, that's also why it feels a little flat because we've gotten better stories with this kind of representation. But I understand why it's set when it was originally written because at that time, this would have been kind of more of a, I don't want to say groundbreaking, but more edgy type of movie, especially if it was like
yeah,
an indie movie when indie movies were still kind of a big thing. Not that indie movies aren't anymore, but it's harder and harder now for indie films to sell like they once did.
yeah, definitely.
So you said one of your favorite actors is in this movie, so I assume Pedro Pascal is one of your favorite actors.
There's two other favorites.
Yeah, so what do you think of Pedro's little scene as the opening to this movie?
Okay, I will say, Con, it feels like a performance any actor could have done. It doesn't really stand out as one of Pedro Pascal's best performances, and it feels like he is in this because he is a very hot celebrity at the moment.
That's for sure. That's a name to get into, potentially get people to watch it because of Last of Us and Mandalorian and some other films he's done recently.
Yeah,
But I mean, he's probably like, well, you sure I'll be in a Coen brother movie, even if it's just Ethan.
yeah,
So I'm gonna assume your other two favorite actors are Coleman Domingo and Matt Damon.
that is correct.
Yes, I will say of the three, because I feel like Damon's performance is a cameo as well, probably as a favor to get another kind of bigger name in the film.
Hmm.
I feel like of these three actors, Coleman's probably the best part as kind of like the head, whatever they are, organized crime, drug dealers, mob bosses working for Matt Damon's character.
Yeah,
Lobbyists. I don't know what. There's some kind of shady people. Dumb criminals, though, which is very prominent in Coen Brothers films
yes, as we spoke about in Vargo.
because his two henchmen have to be two of the dumbest criminals ever in a movie.
Literally.
Um, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of talented people in this movie, and I think a lot of them are giving decent performances. It's just for me, it's like some of the jokes don't land. And like I said, it just feels like it's a little flat. I feel like this needed they needed to revise the script a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. But
It
from what I know, Ethan's wife is actually a lesbian.
Yes, yes, they are still legally married, but they are both in relationships with other people.
Yes. I'm assuming they still love each other.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know their personal lives. I assume when they met, maybe Trisha was not open, or maybe wasn't 100% sure she was queer yet. Who knows? Who's to say? That's like in the late 80s, early 90s, so that is definitely a different time for a queer person to be, in the industry than it is now in 2024. And, maybe she came to terms with that and was ready to be open, and that makes Ethan a supportive person, that he still loves her and will still support her even though they were in a marriage and they still are legally married, but she loves the women.
Yeah,
Yeah, so that's definitely an interesting partnership, and more part of our modern world where people are more open and more accepting of different lifestyles and choices and things that people weren't necessarily 30 years ago.
yeah, definitely. But I'm glad that they can still have a good working partnership on these movies.
Yeah, and I will say the two leads are good in this film, Margaret Qualley and
Geraldine.
Geraldine. Yes, they're both. Even though this movie really wants to be kind of a queer Thelma and Louise type of story.
I get those vibes. I also get John Waters vibes as well.
Yes, very much kind of a John Waters, especially with some of the type of humor and the MacGuffin of the story.
Okay,
Uh,
that bit
what,
reminded me of Pulp Fiction.
what if that's in the briefcase as well? I
Yeah,
didn't know though, because the whole till we find out what's going on with what's in the briefcase. I kept getting confused by the whole flashback to the '60s scene, and I'm watching it and I'm like, is that Miley Cyrus? And yeah, it's Miley Cyrus.
yes. I've always liked Miley Cyrus.
So you got even like pop stars popping up in this movie for brief cameos.
Yes.
I will tell you my favorite person in this movie though is he's a character actor. I think he's the guy that runs the rental car shop. I love his Curly,
Oh,
right? That's the character.
Bill Camp.
Yes, Bill Cap. He's got the right amount of dry wit humor for a Coen brother character.
Definitely. And because he's had like a lot of small roles like Birdman and Joker and Killing of a Sacred Deer, it makes sense that he transitions into a Coen Brothers S movie.
Yeah, yeah. If there's somebody who I usually think is pretty funny and hilarious, it's that I didn't really care for in this movie is probably Beanie's character.
Oh no, I thought she had her moments.
I mean, the sequence where she attacks one of the goons is great,
Yes, that's one of the funniest scenes of the movie.
but overall, I didn't know if they needed her character as much in the story. But like I said, there's good ideas here. I like what the movie's trying to do. I like what the movie's saying. It just really feels like this needed like a second draft. Like they needed to go back and kind of touch the script up.
I get what you mean. I get what you mean. Because even though it is only 84 minutes, it feels like it could have lasted another 10.
I will give it that it's not long, and not that there's anything wrong with long movies, but it is kind of refreshing to have a movie that's in and out in about 80 minutes.
Definitely, definitely. And because it's. Okay, I will bring this up. Apparently, Joel. No, not Joel. Ethan did direct to Jerry Lee Lewis a documentary, but this is his first time directing about his bro. And, I can see why people are thinking it's a bit mid, but, what else you know when it's your first film about your regular partner?
Yeah, and I would say that looking at these two films that they have done solo, Joel is definitely the more skilled person behind the camera,
Yeah,
because whether you like the tragedy of Macbeth or not, I mean, it's basically him just adapting the play. It's him doing Shakespeare, but it is a visually striking looking film.
Definitely, definitely. The problem I have with that movie is it feels like the play's a bit like smalled down. Like
Yeah,
didn't
I
feel
can.
fleshed out enough. Whereas at least with Driveway Dolls, the story is a bit more fleshed out.
Okay. Fair enough. I feel like they did a pretty decent job at adapting the play, but I can get what you're trying to say.
Yeah, I get you. So the one thing I want to know about is the whole catalyst of this event is with the car dealership and the drive-away service. So how does that exactly work? Because I've never heard of a drive-away service in the UK.
So normally, if you want to go on a trip, but you don't want to use your own vehicle, you rent a car. And I guess there are services, or there used to be services where you would pick up a car and then drop it off at a location, which you do with a rental, but a lot of times people do round trip from like where they picked it up, they're going to drop it back off at the same location once they're done on their trip. But you can rent a car. Say you're going to rent a car in Austin and you're going to drive it to Los Angeles, but you don't need it to go back to Austin. You would just drop it off in Los Angeles.
Right, makes sense. Makes sense. And back in 1999, were lesbian bars quite hard to find?
I mean, you would probably have to ask a more knowledgeable person than I, but I imagine they were harder to find because, especially in the South, that's not like something you want to publicly address because of politics and people who claim to be overly religious having issues with that. So it makes it harder to find a place to
Which kind of
be.
ties in with the theme of this film because it feels like it was just trying to jab at the right wing every 5 seconds.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, even, the ending when they get in the car and say whatever state they're going to because women can marry each other there. Because that had been an issue for decades and it's kind of trying to remain an issue since our current government's trying to repeal everything the Supreme Court passed.
Yeah,
Yeah. So, but you talked about how you see how people feel like this is mid-level Coens. You could probably say that about both of their solo films, is that they're probably mid-level, whereas Tragedy is the more skilled directed film. This is probably more of a skilled screenplay, even though I feel like it could have used another go at the screenplay to make it sharper.
yeah, I see what you mean. I see.
And also, we know who came up with the chair gag from Burn After Reading now.
Yes.
Like, guess that was Ethan's idea.
Yeah, that must have been Ethan's idea. But yeah, are you glad that Ethan decided to make a film on his own?
Well, I think it is definitely interesting that they both have done it, especially because it sounded like after Buster Scruggs came out, it sounded like Ethan was more interested in stage because I believe that's what he studied when he was in college.
Makes sense.
So, but I am glad it's nice to kind of see what their sensibilities is as a director by themselves without the other. I am happy that they are getting back together to make a movie together, though, because I feel like that's what they should be doing. They are stronger together.
They are. They are.
But you had mentioned that Ethan and I guess Trisha are planning to do two more films with similar subject matter, but
Yes.
not really connected to this film, but other queer films about queer women.
Yes. The next one's called Honey Don't, which I swear is referenced in the movie.
But
And
yeah.
Margaret Qualley is still starring in the movie.
Oh, okay. So she's attached to be in that one as well.
Yes, with Audrey Plaza, Chris Evans, Billy Eicher, and Charlie Day.
Okay, well, those are all talented, funny people.
Yes, and I don't know what it is, but Charlie Day and the Coen brothers sound like they should go hand to hand really well.
Yeah, he should work in a Coen Brothers movie. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. But yeah, I
But
do
yeah,
I do think Coleman Domingo is the best actor and gives the best performance of the movie.
that's fair to say. I think so. I think so. Um,
Like you can tell that he was like that he knew he wanted to have fun but still give a good performance.
yeah, well, he's always doing something interesting or fun. He's one of the better parts of the Color Purple remake that they did
Yes,
recently.
yes, 100%.
So I always find him fascinating as an actor. And yeah, he's usually having fun. If you want to see him having fun, you should check out a movie called Zola where he plays like a pimp.
Yeah, I've been wanting to watch that one.
He's really good in that as well.
Definitely. So as you're from Texas, I take it you were a little bit. I think you had an opinion on Margaret's accent in the movie.
Yeah, I didn't hate her accent, but it felt like it was kind of inconsistent at times in the movie.
Right. I mean, that's the first time I've properly seen her properly act, so I don't know what she actually sounds like in real life. Does she
Uh,
really speak some poor things?
is the only other two things you've seen her in is Poor Things and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood?
That is correct.
Oh, you should see her in a show called The Leftovers, where she plays Justin Theroux's daughter.
Oh, that's Chris Eccleston's show.
Yes, Christopher Eccleston plays his. No, he doesn't play his brother-in-law. He plays Carrie Coon's brother.
Oh, she's in the Nice Guys as well, Margaret Qualley.
That's right, isn't she?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes,
Off topic. Would you watch a Nice Guys sequel with Emily Blunt in it?
maybe.
Maybe. Would you watch a Nice Guys sequel regardless of who else is in it? If Shane Black got to do another one.
Probably yes.
Yeah, why not? Why not watch another adventure with those two?
Definitely, definitely. But I'm looking forward to Kind of Kindness.
Yes, I am as well. It'll be weird, but should be fun.
Yes, definitely, definitely.
You had mentioned earlier that the Coens are kind of more of indie, and that's true. Most of their movies are not huge blockbusters. Like True Grit is their most financially successful film, I believe.
Yeah, that's the only one that looks like a big, like, mainstream movie.
Yeah, I think the only, I mean, Oh Brother Where Art Thou, I don't know if it was a huge hit financially, but it kind of became a cultural phenomenon.
Yeah,
But yeah, those are probably their two biggest movies in the zeitgeist. And of course, The Big Lebowski has become a huge cult thing.
yeah. And Fargo and No Country are hailed as a
And
massive.
Fargo and No Country are probably two of their best reviewed films, especially since No Country. No Country actually did really well financially too for the type of movie it is.
Yeah, especially when it's made up by a really like smaller studio as well.
Hmm.
Yeah, I would say this goes more in the burn after reading category, where it is like silly but it's fun.
Yeah, this is definitely akin to the burn after reading comedy of the Coens. I wouldn't quite say it's like a Raising Arizona or Oh Brother Where Art Thou style comedy. Yeah, burn after reading makes sense as kind of the closer. And I do think this is better than, say, The Lady Killers, one of the other kind of mid Coen Brothers
I
films.
still need to see that one.
Tom Hanks is the best part.
I can imagine.
But yeah, if I had to find other Coen Brothers movies this is related to, it would be those two.
Burn after reading and the Lady Killers.
Hmm.
Yeah, I watch Lady Killers to have an opinion, but I can see more with Burn after reading.
Yeah, and The Lady Killers is, of course, a remake of a British comedy. I don't know if you've seen the original with Alec Guinness.
No, I have not.
Okay.
That's where I know Geraldine from. She's the girl from Blockers.
Yes, she's John Cena's daughter in Blockers. She's also in a really good I forget the title of the movie, but she's in a really good movie with Hugh Jackman and Allison Janney.
Is it Bad Education?
Is that the name of it? Yeah, she's the student.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. It just says another actress who's a voice in Turning Red. I thought she was, but it must be a different actress.
She's also in the show Miracle Workers with Daniel Radcliffe.
Nice. Oh, and she's going to be in the Thunderbolts movie, the Marvel one.
Is she?
Yeah, she
Huh.
replaced Ayo Ediri. I remember now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's interesting. And also, I know Beanie Feldman from obviously her comedy work.
Yeah, yeah. Book Smart, among other things.
Yes. Yes.
She also played Fanny Price on Broadway for Funny Girl.
Nice. Nice. Lady Bird, that's the first thing I saw her in.
Yep, she's the best friend in Ladybird.
And she's working on Richard Linklater's Merrily We Roll Along project.
Yep, which is going to take over 20 years.
And he's already had to replace an actor.
Yes, he did. I forget who he replaced.
It's with Paul Mescal, so I think he's got good hands.
Yeah, and what is that guy's name? Ben Platt. He's the other one in it.
Yes. Yes, he hasn't been replaced, so hopefully the film will be on schedule.
Yeah, whatever it gets released. I don't know when that's happening because, he's using the Boyhood method for the adaptation of this musical.
I'm surprised Nolan hasn't tried the idea yet.
Don't put it in his head.
I'm not going to. But yeah, I also
Um,
like how this film has a female cinematographer in Uri Wegner, who also shot Zola, as you mentioned, and The Power of the Dog.
oh, nice. That's awesome. Uh, yeah, there's a lot of great things about this movie, and I'm glad that it has a female cinematographer because there needs to be more recognition of them in the field.
100%. And it makes sense that this female centric movie had a female cinematographer. Just feels a bit more kind of authentic.
Yeah, and it makes the perspective of what we're watching is from the female view.
Definitely. Definitely. And obviously,
And,
Trisha obviously helped direct the film with Ethan, but Ethan could only get the credit for himself because she's not a member of the Directors Guild.
That makes sense. Also, his name probably helped greenlight the movie with him
Yes.
being involved. So,
And Carter Burwell does the music for him, so he's friends with both of them.
well, I don't think they broke up on bad terms. I think they just wanted to do different things. So,
Yeah, definitely.
and so, yeah, that's cool that Carter collaborates still with them. He's been collaborating with them since the beginning.
He has, and I like how he's also worked with Martin McDonough because he's the closest thing to the Coen brothers who isn't the Coen brothers.
I would agree. I would think of all the different female filmmakers who tried to mimic their style. He's done it the best, especially with Three Billboards and the Banshees of Inisherin.
Yeah, them two are very Coen brothers esque movies.
For sure. Especially, well, Three Billboards for sure, not just because of Frances McDormand, but just where they set the story. But Banshees definitely feels like, okay, this is like the Irish version of a Coen Brothers movie.
Literally. Literally. But yeah, I do enjoy this movie for its comedy and its story and its obviously cast.
So, what Coen Brother movies have you not seen besides The Lady Killers?
I've not seen A Serious Man. I've not seen Blood Simple, and I've not seen the Hudsucker Proxy.
Okay, well, three of those are essential that you check out because they're all fantastic to various degrees.
I take it Blood Simple and A Serious Man are two of them.
Yeah, I would say all of them, but Lady Killers are they're 4 to 4.5 star films for me.
Sweet.
Um, all right, so would you say Drive Away Dolls is still, even though you enjoy it more than I, would you still kind of put it in the mid range of their films?
Yes, because it's not as good as Fargo or The Big Lebowski. Okay,
Hmm.
No Country for Old Men's made better than Drive Away Dolls, but I prefer more their comedic films. Yeah, I would say this is more along the lines of Burn After Reading, where it's silly, but you know it's enjoyable.
That's fair. That's fair. Is there anything else you want to say about this movie?
Yes. I don't like what the title is revealed to be at the end of the film because I don't like a certain word that's used in that title.
Right. Um, and maybe that's why they changed the title. I don't know, or thought it would, I guess, be a more accessible title to play in theaters. But yeah, I'm glad they changed the title too. I mean, I get what they were trying to do with the title, and I understand, but I don't like the word either. I don't really like derogatory words for anybody.
Yeah, yeah,
But I
definitely.
mean, if that's what they wanted to use to kind of reclaim that sort of name, I understand. But this title works for what they're doing and what the movie's about.
Although I don't know who Henry James is, I will be honest with you on that one.
Henry James. Is that an actor or is that?
He's the novelist who she's reading.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's right. She's reading the Henry James. You know what? I don't think I do either.
Yeah,
I guess we need to educate ourselves, or we should have Googled who Henry James is. I forgot about that. It's the whole, she's trying to read the book the whole time.
yeah. But we know who Ethan Cohen is. We know who Margaret Qualley is. We know the heavy hitters of this movie.
Yes, we do.
And we know
And
the cinematographer and the composer.
yep. Uh, like I said, I don't hate this movie. It's not a bad movie. It's just not one of my favorites of theirs, and that's fine. Not everything's gonna be great, but I think there are things in this to enjoy. And if you are a Coen Brothers fan, I think you should at least give it a watch.
Definitely.
And
Definitely.
I would be interested to see what people who aren't Coen Brothers fans would think of it. Do you think someone who's not a Coen Brothers fan could enjoy this movie?
The thing is, I feel like with the Coen brothers, you either get their style and you like them, or their movies just aren't for you. And I feel like that if you're not a fan of the Coen brothers, this movie's not going to be for you.
I mean, that's probably right. I don't think this is a Coen Brothers film to come into without having any context of their other type of movies they've done.
Yeah, like I'd rather show them Big Lebowski or Fargo.
Oh, for sure. Fargo, Big Lebowski, Oh Brother, Raising Arizona, No Country, True Grit, like any of those, I think would be kind of more to kind of slide into an introductory film.
Yeah, but who knows? Maybe Honey Don't, his second movie, might be better.
I hope so. I want them to make an interesting, well-made story for queer characters. I want more representation in cinema, so more things get made because there need to be other people represented in films other than someone that looks like me.
I get what you mean.
Yeah. So more power to him and Trisha with their solo projects. I also look forward to whether him and Joel are re-collaborating together on whatever that will be.
I think it'll either be one of their own ideas or a really good book they like.
Yeah, I mean they've only adapted truly two books.
Is that No Country and True Grit?
hmm I mean there have been other films they've done that are kind of loosely inspired from novels, but that wasn't the sole basis of the story. Like,
About
yeah, oh bro,
one of them's based on a Greek myth.
yeah, it's Oh Brother Where Art Thou. They took elements from the Odyssey and changed the setting.
Yeah, and I saw Ballad of Buster Scruggs. Oh yeah, that's based on a couple of things.
Yeah, and Miller's Crossing is heavily influenced by Dashiell Hammett's work.
Makes sense. Yeah, most of
But
them. Lady Killers is a remake.
Lady Killers is a remake. So is True Grit.
Yeah,
And
so it's
then,
weird to think that Inside Llewyn Davis is an original story.
oh well, it's loosely based off of a folk singer too.
Right, right. But yeah, I yeah, thank you for having me on to talk this movie with you, Cody.
Yeah, thanks for agreeing to come on and cover the new Cohen release. I look forward to more releases from them. I don't want them to stop making movies because they're some of the most interesting filmmakers still to this day.
Definitely, definitely. And now they've made a movie of their own. It's nice to see what makes them actually different.
Yeah, that if anything, regardless of what you think of these two films, if you think they're lesser because they're not as good as their other films, it at least kind of shows you what their strong suits are to the storytelling that they bring.
Exactly.
Well, Robbie, thanks for coming on. I hope you have a wonderful night and look forward to talking to you soon. Is there anything you want to plug while you're on?
Yes, me and you just did an episode on the 70s best film winners. I think the next episode we got planned is for my channel where we're going to talk about Zone of Interest.
Yep, so we're continuing our international film discussion. I look forward to seeing that film. It's the only Best Picture nominee I've yet to see. And of course, it won Best International Film. So I look forward to seeing if it is as good as people say it is.
Technically, I can't say it's an international film because it's from the country I live in.
But it's mostly in German, right?
Yeah, it's mostly in German.
Okay. Well, thanks again for coming on. I appreciate it for this oneer episode that we did to cover a previous filmmaker and look forward to having you back on for other chats.
Definitely. I'm hoping to come on when you talk about Mulholland Drive.
Oh yes, we will have to coordinate that to see if I can get you on with my co-host with that.
Sweet.
All right. Well, thanks again and have a good night, Robbie.
Thank you, Cody. Thank you for having me on, and thank you for Ethan. Thank you to Ethan Coen for making this a great movie.
All right. Thanks for watching if you watch, and everyone out there have a good and safe evening.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye bye, Cody.
Bye.